Hello everyone, welcome to the final live hangout of 2023. What a year, hey? What a year. We have fitted. I always wonder whether you should say we have fit. We have fitted. We've stuffed a lot in to the year, and it's 2023 is coming to a close. We're only 1 month away from Christmas for those of us who celebrate Christmas, and before you know it, it'll be 2024. We'll be all, clicking our champagne and welcoming the new year in, and so yeah, it's been fun. We have fit. I'm gonna have to ask Linda in a moment. Linda's going to jump on to the show in a second. She'll have to let us know. Is it fitted or fit? What do you say? I don't know. We are going to sort of take a bit of a trip down memory lane today. Linda's pulled together a whole heap of really interesting stats. In fact, she really hasn't shared too many of those with me. I'm going to be learning some of the interesting things that we've covered this year and who we've talked to, and we're going to talk through that. There is going to be time for Q&A. Today, and this was Linda's idea, Linda said, why don't we sort of open the Q&A to sort of ask Dr. Dan anything? And within reason, I reserve the right to deny an answer if not appropriate, but I'm up for it. I said to Linda, I'm game. This might be an opportunity. I'm going to throw Linda under the bus. It might be an opportunity for you to ask Linda some questions as well, because she's a special guest. Quiet, you're not on screen yet. So that might be a bit of fun as well. We can answer some voice related questions also, and that'll be us for the year. Wow, how crazy is that? Now, one final thing before we bring Linda on. For those of you who may not know, I have been running a special Black Friday right through to today, Cyber Monday. Yes, it's Monday here in Australia. Special on the Voice Essentials voice program, and it's 50% off everything. But to be involved in that, let me bring up you've got to use this coupon code when you go to Voice Essentials. Now, this is only available until midnight tonight. So we're literally less than 11 hours to go for the use of that Black Friday 50 coupon code. It gives you 50% off everything store-wide. There's been a number of people take advantage of that already, and maybe you'd like to consider taking advantage of it also, because you literally have less than 11 hours left to use that. And I typically only run one sort of wide special like that every year, Black Friday. And so if you're thinking, oh, he'll run another one soon, I do not have any plans to do so. I usually only put a special up there because it's already pretty good value. So if you do want to get like super uber amazing value, now is the time. Enough of all that. I want to bring on Linda. Ta-da!
Hi Dan. Hi everybody. Good to be here, and a bit scary to be on this side of the screen.
You're used to it now. Hey, listen, and because we really do need to, because there's a lot of people that do join us on, every week who know you and have seen you on screen before, but there's quite a few new people who don't.
New people this year.
Who is Linda Dalton? Because I ask special guests. I ask
often
special
ask
guests
that question like that myself. Every morning in the mirror. Who am I? I'm a Tassie.
Yeah.
I mean, arrived in Tassie. I'm not going to start from birth, but born overseas.
Why not, Linda?
Have you got time?
No.
I was I was born in Malaysia, Singaporean by nationality, and came here in about 1970. So I've been here for a long time.
Right.
And so I've been living in Tasmania.
1970.
I know. That's giving away a lot, isn't it?
It's giving away a little bit, yeah.
Bit too much. But that's okay. What else is there? And so I've been here in the Voice Essentials community as a student and part of, Dr. Dan's fan club and channel for 7 years.
7 years.
7 years, and yeah, I can date it back. Probably not to the exact date, but definitely I've pinpointed that.
Wow.
And I have a family. I've got 4 big kids. One's still at school finishing, and one's married this year and living out of home. And I teach piano.
Yeah.
And I run the house, which is what I do most of the time. But if I'm not here on Voice Essentials and on Facebook, Voice Essentials community, so that's in enough of a nutshell, I think, for anyone to consume.
You do so much. There's only one other person who comes close to contributing to the community as much as you do, and that would be Kathy Snyder. And a big hello to Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
She's very active within the Facebook group, which is just a wonderfully positive space for singers to interact and engage with each other. But you, for how long have you been? You say you've been engaged with Voice Essentials for 7 years. How long have you been moderating the show? Because every week you come on. And I can count on. I reckon I can count on one hand the shows that you haven't been available for, and they've all been for, like, it's not been because you were having a nana nap. It was because you were doing really important family things and you needed to be elsewhere. What how long have you been moderating?
Okay, I think I started private lessons with you towards the end of 2016. And it was the earlier part, well, let's just say in the last half of 2016 when you were doing your lives. I only missed a few of your really first few original, oldest ones. and I think it was towards the end of 2018 or early 2019 when I was moderating.
Wowzers.
I'm guessing maybe, after a couple of years after
I still remember the surprise when I received your, I think it was an email you sent me. This was obviously back in 2018. I didn't realize you'd been having lessons with me since 2016. That you just put your hand up and said, would it be helpful if I, and I went, yeah, it actually really would be, because for those of who have even, because we did one show this year where you weren't available, and it's a scary ride for me at my end when I've got to moderate and do everything, and it always takes me back to those early shows where I was doing it, a lot of it by myself, and now just knowing that I've got you as a part of the show, moderating the chat, collecting the questions, it takes such a load off me, because I'm sitting here and I'm punching buttons, and if I've got a guest, I'm trying to be engaged with the guest and ask half sensible questions, and so just knowing that you're there we as a community thank you, Linda, for all the work you do.
Well, I thank you for saying that, Dan, and I thank the community because, well, without the interactions and without them chiming in and chatting so, kindly and enthusiastically, that makes the job so much more fun.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want it any other way. It's loads of fun, and it's a pleasure and an honour. Thank you for saying that.
It is a load of fun, isn't it? And it's I don't know, there's I could never have projected, or I'm not clever enough to design a community that is as positive and encouraging and, you know, as what we have at Voice Essentials. I think we've got something very special. I really do. And it's not by virtue of any single person. I can't lay claim to that being the reason that is. I think it's us as a group of people from across. This is the crazy thing, right? From across the globe.
That's
Like
right.
it's bizarre that we can do this together. People that you and I would never have met each other. You live thousands of kilometers away from me, even though we're from the same
Overseas,
country.
practically. Yes.
Essentially overseas. But, you know, we've got ones like Kathy, and we've got and Kelly. Both Kelly's in the chat right now. Kelly's from Canada. You know, there would just be no way that we could have ever done that without, you know, starting to engage via online, and it's just amazing. I guess we should let's roll out the stats, shall we?
Roll up the sleeves, roll up the stats.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I
This
know
is not
you
going
are.
to take long. It looks like a lot on paper, but it's going to like shrink down when I say things.
I think I'm super interested to learn what's going
What numbers
on.
I've written down.
Yeah, I know. I'm a bit. Is this going to make me feel tired, Linda?
I don't want it to. It's not meant to make you feel
It's-
tired. I think it's meant to make you feel good about life and ready to keep going and that sort of thing.
And
You know.
for those of you who are chiming in and thinking, isn't this a Learn to Sing channel? Yes, it is. But today is more a celebration of the community and what we do together. The live show, we're about to find out how many we've done and when we started doing them, because I don't know. Linda's about to tell us. And so, yeah, if you haven't been a part of the community long, you might think, is this a little bit self-indulgent, this show? This is not normally what we do. It's the last show for the year. So take it away, Linda. Tell us what have you found?
First of all, nothing wrong with a little bit of self-indulgence every now and again.
Every now and then. Minimal.
It's good for the soul. All right, so this year specifically, okay, this will be the 34th show. Okay. There were 2 that fell over. So we had 34.
Okay, let's just talk to this idea of the shows falling over.
They just
Because
didn't get to air.
I know, and you know, I've even today, we were talking before we went live. Even right now, I go through these chapters of time where I feel very uncertain with the software that I use to run the live show. It's a software package called Wirecast. When it works, it's brilliant. It does everything I need it to do, but it does have moments in time when it's not working for me, and things, computers being what they are, it crashes or something happens, and I've mentioned this before, but nothing causes me more stress than this software package. If you know, if we were to go back, this is the end of my 28th year of teaching. If I was to go back into the mid-90s, late 90s when I started, all you needed to teach singing was a piano, like, you know, or an electric keyboard. That's all you really needed. Man, have times changed, and it's the technical side of things that causes all of my challenges in the studio. It's never a student. Well, very rarely is it a student. Sometimes it's a student, but it's not the teaching of voice. That's in one sense that's the easy bit. It's the actual. Yeah, so anyway, that's why shows fall over. If you're ever a part of a show with us next, or even dear me, we haven't finished this one yet. Fingers crossed we'll be all good.
No,
So
I know everything's crossed.
so
It'll be
far,
fine.
so far we're good. But the if you're ever part of the live show and you're watching us live and it falls over, that's almost certainly what's happened. Is my computer system's just gone. No, not today.
Not today.
Yeah.
Get back up again.
Sorry, Linda, I jumped in on you.
That's okay. Feel free to do that.
So is
it's
that
your show.
So, well, it's our show, isn't it? 34. So we did 34 lives this year.
34 shows.
Wow.
Okay, so you had the combination of Q&As and mini topics, of which there were 10 great mini topics. So
mini
in
topics
terms
that
of-
aren't so mini.
I know, and that's why you did hydration twice, because it's such a big topic.
Did I?
You did you started with it at the very beginning, but it was only it was a micro topic then.
It was okay, we're calling it, we're distinguishing between micro and mini now. Dearie me.
Yeah. And so you did that in combination with Q&As, and overall the Q&As totaled 22. The number of questions, 108.
Oh, wow, you went to that level. 108 questions.
I did go to that level. I didn't quite count out how many questions Mackenzie Kate asked, but she did a few of them. As did Kelly.
Mackenzie is an active member of the community, that's true.
The queen of questions.
Well, you got to get in. See, the thing with Mackenzie, and Kelly's very good at this as well, you got to get in early with your questions. If you get in early, then it's likely that you'll get your question answered. That's the thing. And Mackenzie's just very good at it. Kelly's very good at giving us super chats, which is very kindly received.
She's
Kelly
definitely got that medal. Yes.
Yeah.
So those were the that, plus then of course you had your live guests.
Yes.
And not counting me today, you have had 9 pedagogues on the show.
All outstanding. Did you write a list of them down?
I did.
Remind us. Who did we have?
Wendy LeBorn.
Oh, wow.
On voice reconditioning.
Yes.
Michelle Marquardt DeVoe.
Did we?
Yes.
Did we have Michelle on?
For the 5th time in our history. Yes.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And Matthew Edwards, Dr. Matthew Edwards.
Yeah.
Melissa Cross. Elizabeth Benson. I mean, these will come flooding back now, as you know.
Yeah.
Memories come flooding back. Dr. Heidi Moss Erickson.
Oh, wow.
Brenda Earl Stokes, the piano player.
Yes.
Piano player, singer extraordinaire. Zach Bradford, and the ever lovable Brian Girl.
Yeah.
At the end.
Wow.
And
that's
just that many.
I'm a little bit. What's been going on in my year that I'd forgotten that we'd had that? I mean, we have quality people on every year, but that, for some reason, the standard of that blows me away for this year. Like,
it's been consistent over the last several years. I've had a look at all of them.
Have you?
I haven't watched them all, but I've tabbed down every single one, and so I know how many shows you've done in 7 years.
Yeah, how many shows have I done in 7 years?
262, including today. And you've had
262.
262. You've had 85 guest spots. Some of them are repeat offenders.
Yes.
Like Brian Gill and Michelle.
Gill.
And so a lot of them have come back several times.
Yes, they've all been. Isn't it amazing that people, you know, I often say, you know, when talking about our special guests, I often say, I try to impress upon people how highly respected these individuals are in the world, like in the world of voice pedagogy, the teaching of contemporary singing. And I know sometimes that comes off as like I'm exaggerating, but actually nearly every single one of those names that we've just mentioned are all internationally known. names and are all working at the absolute apex of their field globally, not just you know, in their little neck of the woods. Yeah. And the fact, you know, to think that they you know, give of their time, because I can't afford to pay them what they would charge, you know, professionally. They give of their time, and often very, very late on a Sunday night in the US, because it just so happens that the US, we don't get to have a lot of European-based pedagogues on the show, because Europe's asleep while we are live. But yeah, it's just, isn't that amazing that these people come on? Yeah.
And absolutely brilliant. They bring, you know, condense as much as they can, and each year it's different, because if you've revisited some of the past shows with Shannon Coates, Michelle, Melissa Cross, they're doing something different every year. They've learnt something different that they want to teach to others, and so you're getting something new each time you see them as well.
Absolutely. And the reason that we can basically count on the fact that that's always going to be the case is because the leading experts are always growing, they're always evolving, they're always you know, discovering new things, and hence, you know, we get to learn something fresh from them, which is always very exciting. Yeah, I mean, and I always get a bit of a smile on my dial when I know the guests that I've had on, and then one of our national associations like the Australian Voice Association, or ANATS, the Australian National Association for Teachers of Singing, it's such a mouthful, they then will hire the people we have on the show for free to come and be keynotes at their conferences. And I mean, this is the type of people that we get onto our show, which is just extraordinary. You know, it is, you know, and it's all credit to them for being so generous with their time. So how many did you say? 108 in that period of time?
108. I said 108. What was that the number for?
How many
108
guests?
Q&A questions.
Oh, that's Q&A. Oh, okay. 108 questions.
In the time, from the time you started 7 years ago and had a few guests, then more and more guests, the guest slots have been 85.
85 guests. Wow. Okay. 85 guest slots, not necessarily 85 guests.
No, unless they've cloned themselves.
Probably closer to something like 60.
Yeah, possibly.
When you take into account
I reckon
doubles
that's
up,
a good,
and it's
good
probably
ballpark
something like
figure.
that. Do you have any other crazy stats for us?
I have more like, I guess, would you say fun facts, or just
hit
highlights?
Hit me.
I'll hit you with some of them. So this is going back over the history a little bit for those who are interested in history. So we said how many shows you've done, how many guest appearances. So you started in 2016. And a good friend who's also a moderator here is Karen O'Connor, and one of your first pedagogue, in fact, your first pedagogue guest was Karen at the end of 2017. So that marks her, you know, your original guest spot.
Wow.
And that long ago. And I think that the times during, I guess, the highlights when I view the years were you hit 100,000 subs in 2019. That's
right.
And the channel grew in and of itself. The channel grew.
Yes.
And that's also when you first had Prof. Brian Gill on. You had regular time slots from 2017, because at the start of the show it was a bit hit and miss. You just jump on. I've got space to jump on and go live. So unless you weren't subscribed, you know, or were subscribed, sorry, you wouldn't know. So the regularity of the show and the way it evolved, I think, are the highlights, the stages you went through. And each year had its own, you know, had its own thing. Obviously, 2020 had its own thing, being the year of COVID, but it didn't stop the. I guess because it's online, it didn't stop the content, or I mean,
No.
maybe it was more skewed towards how COVID's affected everybody that
Yeah.
year as of March, but
Yeah.
there's still so much information to, you know, give out and share. So
And can I show you something?
sure.
This has just come from. Let me see if I can bring it up. Sorry, this has just
Okay.
come from Kelly.
Aw, thank you, Kelly, and
Yeah.
you're very welcome.
What a
Thank
lovely, and thank you for the super chat for that, Kelly. Kelly is known for her super chats as well.
Very generous,
Very
Kelly.
very
Really are.
very generous. So
Thank you.
thank you, Kelly.
I'll try and keep it safe, but it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean,
Every now and then.
every now and then we get something, don't we? And it really is for that every now and then that the safety aspect of what you do is so important, and that's, you know, yeah. So I'm just reflecting on the fact that I didn't realize Karen was the first pedagogue that I'd ever had on the show. Karen
I think
from
so.
Singwise.
I think the previous guests you had were singers in and of their own right, and I
Yeah,
think they
okay.
had probably some aspect that they shared
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
show, perhaps
Yeah.
how they recorded, because I think they were like recording artists and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
Karen was, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
and her channel, yeah.
And her channel, yeah, yeah. I've just got to make sure I bring this off now. Does that? I think that's what I need to do. Yeah. That's wow. That's yeah. Thank you for putting all of that together. Is that it?
I think so.
Okay, good. Yeah. I was just double
Yes.
checking. Because that's
If I
yeah. There's a
see
lot.
any more
There's a lot
suddenly, I'll
there. Projecting into the new year, because we did have, it's interesting because we're talking about special guests, we did have fewer this year than we've probably had in previous years, and that was, and I've shared before, that was quite circumstantial. I had a number of guests who are all completely, you know, unknown. They probably know each other, but unknown to each other, were all having to respond to different things in their own lives, and so for different reasons, different ones couldn't come on when we'd scheduled, and by the time that came about, it was too late to reschedule and a new person. So next year, rest assured, we will have our special guests on again, and we've basically locked Brian in, I think, for the last special guest slot every year. I think he really enjoys
good,
that,
isn't he?
and we'll definitely have you on again, Linda, at the end of next year. Or, you know,
Will you? Oh, thanks, Dan.
oh, absolutely. I mean, there's
If
another
I'm not in
there's another
here, I'll
20
be
minutes to go.
typing.
If you want to, you know, stuff things up between now and then.
I won't stuff anything up, hopefully.
You won't. You
I'm not
won't.
going to go bungee jumping or anything.
Oh dearie
That's
me. No, I want you to stay safe over the Christmas break. So just on
Yes.
that note, our first session, our first live show, we're going to go to some Q&A in a second. Our first live show next year will be February the 5th. For a lot of people it's February the 4th, but it's Monday, February the 5th, 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Check your local guides. Yeah, we're just going to do. Does it sort of kill the vibe to say more of the same? But I don't have any plans to do anything, you know, radically different.
One thing is to be said about having something that you call it more of the same, is that it's a reliable part of your life sometimes, and it's a good thing to have certain things that you know you can rely on.
It's just going to be there.
There's,
Yeah,
there's enough unpredictability in life otherwise, I think. So
yeah, I agree.
why
Yeah,
not have something you can rely on?
I've never been a trend setter, Linda.
I don't know.
I very much like I'm comfortable in the status quo. Let's put it that way. So the show
just
will
more
proceed
subtle, Dan.
accordingly. What did you say?
I think you probably are a trendsetter, but it's very subtle.
Oh, thanks. Okay,
Think about that later.
yeah. We should go to some Q&A, shouldn't we?
Yes.
Because you're awesome, I'm going to I've just seen Sharon say hit the like button. Yeah, Sharon, thank you. Hit the like button, Sharon. Well, Sharon's telling everyone else to hit the like button. Everyone else should hit the like button. I'm going to give the first question to you, Linda.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, because I have a couple for you.
Have you? Do you?
I'll only give you one.
Okay, hit me with one. I'm gonna have a drink while you ask.
Doctor, because you'll need it. What do you think, Dr. Dan, you would have done vocationally if you had not entered the singing / vocal pedagogy area?
Ah, interesting question. Well, I think I would have gone into pathology.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked that.
Is that a surprising answer?
Yes.
Yeah,
Really shocking.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
I'm shocked.
Yeah,
That's
I had quite a bit of in my latter high school years. I had quite an interest in biology.
Okay.
And I think if singing hadn't have been an option, I can see I potentially could have found myself pursuing pathology and
So biological sciences.
biological sciences and those sorts of areas. My mother worked in a pathology lab as a lab assistant.
Yeah.
And so I had a bit of exposure to that environment. I did enjoy blood, that sort of area. Blood. I don't enjoy blood, but yeah, I enjoy, and biology was always a subject that I did quite well at school with. Where I think I would have struggled was my chemistry wasn't strong. So
I don't know how much comes into pathology. It is fascinating, but you've got to like looking at things down a microscope.
yeah, and I did. I had a very, very cheap. Well, I don't think it was cheap. It was a very old microscope growing up, and I used to use that quite a bit, and to look at stomata and on the back of leaves and those sorts of things. So yeah, that's
Wow.
I think that's probably what I would have done.
Yes.
What
Fascinating.
you're surprised by that? What did you think the answer would be?
I don't know. I always think. Well, that's a very realistic answer. There's the subtle difference between asking what would you have liked to have done if you could do, your dream
Yeah.
vocation. Like my husband said, he'd really like to be a cricketer because he really liked that. He likes those cricketers like Steve Waugh and captains of the Australian cricket team. But he wouldn't have done that because he wasn't great at cricket. But it would be a dream.
The dream thing, yeah. I think if my dream job would have been helicopter pilot.
Oh, that's even more shocking than the last thing. But I've seen you you're bungee jumping or something. You did something in the air
Oh,
somewhere.
I've done a few
One of your-
stupid things
one of
with
your
my
avatars.
best mate.
But that's cool.
But yeah, I mean, yes, I do like helicopters. The just back to the pathology, I think it's another reason why I'm so engaged in the area of vocal health and the biology of the voice and the anatomy and all of those things, is because I do have that personal interest. And so I
Yes.
think that has found it and woven its way into my teaching. Yeah, so
That's good.
I can't connect helicopter pilot with singing in any way, shape, or form. But
Singing
it would have
helicopter
been
pilot.
it would have been cool to be a
Yeah.
helicopter pilot. I don't think my middle ear is built for flying though. As a passenger, I'm fine, but the actual, if you find yourself doing crazy things in a
Oh,
helicopter,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
it can throw you.
A lot of
Yeah.
maneuvering. Mm. Cool.
Okay, we need to let's.
My cat.
What did you say?
Oh, I knew I'd have a cat come
Oh,
into the show.
cats come in. Well, cats are welcome in this show.
You just stand and wait for me to open the cat flap for him.
Kelly's just said up here. This is a good question. Let me ask you this. Let's throw this question up because I think this is an interesting question. Sharon's asked, is there a difference between a vocal coach and a vocal teacher? Sharon, the terms are used colloquially. They're used interchangeably, but actually in the biz there is a difference. A vocal coach, as opposed to a vocal teacher, or often the difference is the differentiation is made from between a vocal coach and a singing teacher. A vocal coach is someone you would often spend time developing repertoire with, and so they will drill rep with you and drill notes and get melodies right, and they're often doing that kind of work. A singing teacher is someone who is specifically working on your technique, and ensuring that your breath is well placed and your tension management's in good check and your ability to tonally shape, the whole thing is going well. So yes, there is, but the terminology has become quite blurred, and in fact one of the reasons it's become blurred is thanks to YouTube, in part because so many people, when they jump online now, they just refer to themselves as a vocal coach, and that's kind of they're also, and in fact on my reaction videos you'll always see the title always says vocal coach reaction and analysis, despite the fact that in any other circumstance I never refer to myself as a vocal coach, other than just sort of a passing comment. And the reason I do that is because the algorithm it has become so used to the term vocal coach reacts that you've kind of got to have that word vocal coach in there. And so even I am, having to respond to the vagrancies of the what are they called? What am I talking about? Of the algorithm. So yeah, that's the difference when there is one. But these days so many people are just it's become kind of, let me further my response. Actually, most singing teachers find themselves predominantly behaving like a vocal coach in a vocal lesson. And I want to be careful there to not suggest anything untowards. What I mean by that is when a lot of singing teachers will spend the lion's share of their lesson time with a student working on songs. And when the orientation of a lesson is repertoire, working on songs, that is more of a role of the vocal coach. Whereas when a lesson is predominantly focused in on singing technique, that is the role of a singing teacher. Then one of the reasons why most singing teachers are actually, facilitating vocal coaching sessions is because most singing teachers predominantly teach younger people, teenagers and younger. And teenagers, and this is one of the reasons I don't teach young people until they're 16 years or older, because teenagers and younger don't tend to have a lot of patience for working on boring technique. I don't find it boring, but most kids just want to step into a studio and sing songs. Hence, I'm not a great singing teacher for young people, because my lessons for a young person are too boring, because I'm focused on technique, and you kind of get, therein lies some of the difference. Any thoughts to that, Linda, given that you've had these?
No, you covered them all.
Yeah, did I?
I agreed with the algorithm situation, because ever since you started, I don't normally watch vocal reactions. Okay, that's something that I haven't
Yeah.
done of my own choice, but because you've done them, and then I watch yours, I'm getting inundated from everybody else's.
Yeah.
And so you can only bat away so many. But it is very much a vocal coach is the catch
It's the catch-all.
phrase.
Yeah, it is.
So that seems to be putting everybody under one umbrella.
Yeah.
There is a specific, and I would say that's the same. You can do that with any skill.
Yeah.
There's a coach type role,
Yes.
and more specifically a teacher, which I think brings in not just the perhaps the drilling aspect, but sort of the underlying knowledge and maybe foundational
Yeah.
aspect of
And
the
let's
skill.
to complicate things further, more often than not, you will hear me refer to myself as a singing voice specialist. And in the last 2 or 3 years, I go even further to refer to myself as a non-clinical singing voice specialist, because there was a whole furor about 4 or 5 years ago, brought about by, it was more a US-based issue, where the terminology of singing voice specialist had been, I personally think, incorrectly claimed by speech pathologists, and so the issue became that you could only call yourself a singing voice specialist if you were also had a dual degree in speech pathology. Long story short, I think that the solution, which is quite a good one, is to, if you don't hold a second degree, I mean, despite the fact that I hold a doctorate, I don't hold a degree in speech pathology. So, but I talk to a lot of the ENTs I work in team with, and the speech pathologists I've been working in team with for 20 plus years. They all said, no, Daniel, you are definitely a singing voice specialist. So the solution in one sense is to refer to myself as a non-clinical singing voice specialist, just to make everyone happy. The funny thing about all of that is that in Australia, speech pathologists are not allowed to use the word specialist. They're not permitted by their governing association, Speech Pathology Australia. They are not allowed to call themselves a specialist. So in Australia, for me to call myself a singing voice specialist and not use the additional sort of non-clinical bit is fine, because, well, the speech pathologists can't call themselves that anyway in Australia.
Yeah.
But because I'm, you know, we have Voice Essentials is international, I try to cater to all of those little, you know, little things. So yes, it gets a bit complicated when you're trying to tick all the right boxes for everyone. Let's come up here. I'm just looking at our thing, because there was a question back. This is a doozy, and I'm not going to be able to answer it sufficiently. Surat is asking, Dan, singing helps ATIC, CP, and stuttering. Can you explain how, if you have time? I can't speak specifically to the Ataxic CP. I mean, Linda, you having been a doctor.
I can guess at this, and this is relying on my medical
So
knowledge.
for everyone who doesn't know, Linda was a registered family doctor, a general practitioner,
Correct.
a medical doctor. She doesn't.
I was.
She once upon a time she didn't have to use the non-clinical bit. Anyway,
I could have had one show called Dr. Linda.
and you are married to a doctor.
Dr. David.
Dr. David. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry.
So that's okay. That's okay. So I can only help you as far as ataxic, CP, probably cerebral palsy.
Yes, it is cerebral palsy. Yeah.
So now singing helps. I think it's the same because it's neurological.
Yes.
And I'm really flying off the top of my
No,
brain
you're
here.
that's where I was going to go with stuttering. Yep.
Yeah. And the neurological sort of nature of things like people who have strokes or
Yes.
dementia.
Yes.
That there's almost some sort of primitive, I use the word primitive because that's the only way, or organic link between the probably the phenomena of singing and language, and that it harnesses something different in the brain. Now that is so vague, but I know that people who have short-term memory loss or dementia can still remember a song from 20 years ago. Yeah. So, how does that happen? There's something connected there that it's almost like bypasses the problem.
Yes.
Bypasses the nitty-gritty of the problem. That's so unclinical.
No,
but,
well, I mean, it's far be it from us to give an overly clinical diagnosis. Well, especially me, I'm non-clinical. But it is there. I know with the stuttering. In fact, I've got a whole book on this. It is about the neural pathways that singing takes are different to that of speech, even though it's driven by similar parts of the brain. It also comes down to the manner in which the breath is coordinated differently between the two. And those, they're kind of the underlying reasons. There is a much more complex explanation, but that's the basis of it. Yeah.
It does make me want to go and look that up later, though.
I know you will, Linda. I know you will.
I will. I'll get back to you on that.
I'm just looking back up here because Surat is actually saying because when I sing everything is clear, then talking is all back to slurred again. Interesting, it's an immediate change too. Yeah, it's because of that different neural pathway that your singing is able to take, and it's a terrible challenge that you're facing, Surat. But equally, isn't it wonderful that singing is not disrupted to the level? So that's something that's good. We have to close for the year.
Oh no!
I know. How crazy is that?
That's how fast time flies when you're having fun.
When you're having fun, you and I get to see each other once more this year.
Yes, I have one more lesson.
One more lesson. When is that? This
Before
Wednesday
Christmas.
or next?
Next. What day is it today? This week finishes. It's next week.
It's next week. Not that everyone else
Without a
needs to
calendar
know
in front
that,
of me.
but yes, you and I have a lesson to go. Everyone, it is going to be a couple of months before I see you all again, and before you see Linda in the chat, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of both of us. We wish you a very healthy and happy festive season for those of you who do celebrate not Easter, Christmas. I'm getting way ahead of myself there. For those of you who do celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to you all. Is it Hanukkah? That
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah for
I
those,
don't know when that is.
for those who celebrate that, but all of us will celebrate the New Year because well, actually the Chinese celebrate it later, don't they?
Yes, the new moon somewhere.
Yes, but anyway,
January.
I wish you all a happy and healthy, a safe next couple of months before we see each other again. I just on a personal note, the reason we've been doing this show as long as we have is because I love jumping on here every week. I learn stuff. It's actually a part of my professional development to have these special guests of the level that we get on, and I get to sit and talk with these people for a period of time, and so that's one of the reasons why we'll keep this show going, is because it's so valuable to me personally, and I know it's valuable to you all. Do you want to say anything, Linda, as a final goodbye?
I'll ask goodbye. Well, I agree, Dan. That is a huge incentive every time to talk, have conversations with different people. They bring something different, and things you never knew before. And it's just great to have a conversation. So I wanted to just thank you. So from my personal viewpoint, the fact that I get to be kind of in the background, but also just directly involved. I just want to thank you on behalf of the entire Voice Essentials community, those who view it now, those who will be watching this on replay. Honestly, God bless you. You do an amazing, I'm going to get all choked up. You do an amazing job. You really do. You give all of, with all your heart. You are such a sincere person.
Oh, thank you.
You teach, you want the best for people. That shows, and we just really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's very kind.
That's all I wanted to say.
We hadn't scripted that, everyone.
No, that came out of somewhere over there. But it's true. It's true.
You're beautiful.
I mean that.
Thank you. And you, I could be here for another hour just telling people how wonderful I think you are. So we'll finish with the Mutual Admiration Club for 2023.
Yep, that's good.
And sign off for another year, for another one. Wow, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your year. We'll see you in a couple of months, and I very much look forward to it when we do. I'm Dr. Dan. That's Dr. Linda.
Yes, that's Dr. Linda. Just Linda to all of you.
Sing well. I think I'm going to end there.